Hello. Welcome to Healthy by Choice, the podcast that's here to ignite your belief in what's truly possible for your health and well-being. Hi, I'm Dr. Kerry, and what lights me up is empowering others. My mission has always been to inspire you to take your health seriously and give you the tools to understand your body on a deeper, more meaningful level. In each episode, we'll explore the healing power of nature, the role of real food as medicine, and how intentional movement can restore balance to your body and mind. So whether you're on a journey of prevention, recovery, or simply seeking more vitality, this podcast is your reminder. You hold the power to heal. Thanks so much for joining me. Hi friends, welcome back. I'm super excited to be here with you today. Thank you again, as always, for spending your time with me. I truly do appreciate you. And today I want to talk about balance. And the thing is, we can build from walking, like the focus on gait, the heel ball toe, and how walking does improve our balance. Also, when we have better balance, it improves our walking. And that can be all kinds of different things, from balancing on one foot, balance meaning side to side, equal right to left, as well as front to back. And not just understanding gait, but rather the changes that happen in the body when we have a strong sense of balance. So I truly believe that balance is one of the strongest predictors of longevity. And for sure, it absolutely will predict how we maintain our independence in later years. And I see that with patients again and again and again. And also, I live in a body. And when I was in my, 20s or 30s, we learned that we should always be able to sit from a cross-legged position and get ourselves up to standing without using our hands. And I really challenge you to try that. So sit with your legs crossed and just lean forward and push yourself up without touching the ground, or as little as possible with your arms. And I recently, before I went to record this podcast, challenged myself to do this. And I tell you, so I'm right leg dominant. When I cross my legs and my right leg is in front, I'm able to do it okay. I give myself a B+. But when I tried it with my left leg, my non-dominant leg on top, I really need some work. And that's okay. At 56, I'm learning that my balance is a bit unpredictable. It's different side to side. And I welcome the challenge. I welcome the opportunity to learn more and also something to work on. But for sure, I want to always be able to lift myself up from a seated position. Usually that would mean from a chair. But over the years, and I mean time and time and time again, anytime I've mentioned to someone, here's an exercise you could do on the floor, or here's an example of how you could stretch or something, the number of times that people have said, I can get down, but I don't know how I would get back up. And that's like, crawling on all fours. So let's practice starting now. And we can break balance down into different ways, right? And I believe me, I get how awkward it can feel. I completely understand that. And the body learns quickly. I promise you that. I myself work on things that are related to balance all the time. So let's start with the balance again, the heel ball toe. When we step off with one leg, the other leg is holding us up, right? And without getting too much into the anatomy and too much into the details, there is always, remember how I was saying in the walking, as people age, instead of propelling ourselves forward, we can end up pushing ourselves right, left, or leaning side to side. We want to go forward. The whole point of walking is to move forward. And what happens is the weakness in the smaller glute muscles. So not the big glute max, but more the glute minor and the glute medius. So when I take a step with one leg, the opposite leg, smaller glute muscles can sometimes collapse because they're weak, they're weakened, and that's what starts to throw our gait off. So friends, we really do want to do strengthening, and we want to do one-legged. And if you are a patient in my office, you know that I'm excited for anyone who ever chooses a sport. I really love when people find something they're passionate about. And the more outside time, the more activity, the higher activity, I'm all for it. And I really do, celebrate that. Also, if you fall in love with a one-handed sport, and right now the older set is falling for pickleball, it's such the rage. But these kids, a lot of my patients' kids are baseball, and it's one-handed. Throwing is with one hand, one side of the body, batting, even catching, right? So anytime you do something that you repeat with one side of the body, do yourself the favor and try to work even equally. And I do realize that's mostly impossible, right? You can't possibly take as many golf swings on your non-dominant side as you do dominant, but do a lot of them. And here's an example. When you go to the gym to work on that side or strengthen as a sport, so let's just say your dominant side is your right side and you swing and swing and swing with the right side. When you do go to do strengthening, start with the left, then go to the right and go back to the left. That helps your brain know I'm focusing on function on the opposite side of the body. So it's just a little trick. That's something that I've always done, and back in the personal trainer days, when I was working out in the gym, I always wanted my right and left side to be as close to equal as possible. And so I will almost always lift dumbbells or a barbell because of the proprioception and the brain building that allows. However, if for some reason, for example, if I started playing pickleball, if I ever got old enough to play pickleball, and that's a joke because all of my patients are playing pickleball. And let's just say I was using one side of the body again and again and again. I would then go, as I said, develop the opposite side as much as possible so that my brain can balance out. This is ultimately about brain balance, even though it shows up in the body. The right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. We want that right, left every time we step. Back to the walking that I talked about last time. It's such an important piece to keep our balance and to stay upright and for safety. So another big piece of balance really is the predictor of longevity and independence. And it is a big deal as we age. It's often overlooked, I get that. And I just really feel like it matters. I feel like not only should it not be overlooked, but we should be focusing on this. And basically in every adjustment, every session, we should be talking about how strong do you feel equal, not only right to left, but also remember front to back, right? The two sides we want equal. And we want to test it regularly. Balance comes from three parts. The visual system, right? So from your eyes, from your vestibular system, which is your inner ear, and then the proprioception piece comes from the feet. We were talking about that in the walking. It's your body's awareness in space. Your brain wouldn't know where you are if your feet weren't sending it that information. And so we need that to coordinate, with your brain and your nervous system. So the proprioception is where we are in space. Also, we want to talk about reaction time, right? And then muscle coordination. So balance becomes a big deal. And falls, of course, it's such a cause of injury. And ultimately a loss of independence as people age. And that loss of balance, honestly, it shows up before the major decline. And it's an early warning system. I often think that I should test it in my office. I should just say, like, walk for me and then stand on one leg for me or whatever. So it's one of those, things that I take it very seriously, and I have not done anything about it. I'll just say that. But instead of overstating that, I just want to say that, balance is one of the few abilities that reflects our brain health, our joint health, our nervous system function, and then the muscular coordination. And it's all at once. It's our body functioning as a unit, which is a big deal. Balance is a nervous system conversation, right? So when your body feels safe and regulated, then the muscles fire in the proper sequence and the joints stabilize. Well, basically that's how they stabilize efficiently. And then the movement is much more fluid. Again, with the heel ball toe rolling through that instead of awkward, crunchy, all of the words for unsmooth or not smooth. And then when your system is stressed, it shows because things stiffen, right? Things slow down. Of course, our reaction delays. We know that. And just overall coordination drops. It's when people start to get sloppy or easily tripping and falling, or they'll say they're feeling klutzy or clumsy. It's the balance. And, it's so much more than a physical training. It's better communication between your brain and your body. And as I was saying that it's the three parts, I remember, so I've not discussed this with my sister about sharing her business on my podcast, but when we were young, like I was 27, she was 20, something like that, we were out on a walk, what we were calling a hike back then, and a tree had fallen. It was maybe 4 feet above the ground, but it fell across, like, I'll just call it a ravine. And my sister said, I'll give you $100 if you'll, walk across that or something like that. I was like, Sissy, I could do cartwheels across that. Like, it was a big, wide tree, and it was barely above the ground. I mean, maybe 4 feet, but I could have easily jumped with 2 feet, especially back then when I was more coordinated, more athletic, more agile. And I didn't understand, really. I had no idea what was happening with her. And then fast forward about 20 years when my eyes have changed shape and I now require readers for reading, I get it. I get it that proprioception is only one piece. Depth perception is visual, and balance comes from, 1/3 of balance comes from eyes, from what we're seeing, how we're processing. And then if your body kind of tightens up or stiffens up as a reaction, as a fear reaction to not being able to perceive, I can see how that throws off balance, because all these years later, even though I'm very active and I do a lot to maintain a high level activity, and I train in so many ways that I believe is good for me moving forward, I will go and walk on a curb whenever I see one, or, something like that. And I recognize it's a little tipsy, right to left. It's all that. I mean, I'm having my own experience in my body, and I'm currently 56 years old, and I feel great. I feel fantastic for 56, but I feel fantastic for whatever age I am until I go and do something like walk on a curb, or I can't really think of, or that heel to toe walking, which is if you want to test your balance or practice balance, walk heel to toe, like the drunk test given by police officers to determine. I'm telling you, you don't have to be drunk. It's something that will test how much input. It's pretty amazing. We test our strength, we test cardiovascular, and we test flexibility, we cannot ignore the balance. And I'm just wanting to impart on you, don't wait until you feel unstable, or even worse, don't wait until you fall, because then we have to work ourselves up so much. So a couple of examples are, stand on one leg, right? So put your hands on your hips, lift one knee. So if you're standing on your right leg, lift your left knee with your hands on your hips and test yourself. Are you able to do that for 10 seconds? Okay. If you can't do it for 20 to 30, then you need work. So 20 to 30 seconds, and let's just say 30 seconds, you're okay. But 10 seconds or even 10 to 20, we need some practice, my friends. And if you are able to, same thing, right leg, stand on your right leg, lift your left knee with your hands on your hips, and now close your eyes. And that is, it's your single leg, test. It's a functional balance test. We need to continue to do that. And when I was in massage school years and years and years ago, and I was learning about this stuff, I would spend a lot of time standing on my dominant leg with the opposite leg up, and then use my non-dominant hand to brush my teeth, and then do the opposite, especially because I wanted to make sure my teeth got clean, and the non-dominant hand can be difficult. So then I would stand on my non-dominant leg and brush my teeth with my dominant hand. And since preparing for this podcast, I've taken up that again. And let me tell you, it is clear that my brain has to work extra. And I just do want to say, of course, test yourself doing this whenever, but remember the foot is sending information to the brain. So if you can do it barefoot, it does make absolutely a difference. Do it with your shoes on or your slippers or whatever, if that's what you have available at the time, but ultimately bare feet. And do it with your eyes open and your eyes closed. It's, a way to challenge your nervous system. And then do the heel to toe walk, where it's touching the heel to the toes in front and, straight line. The heel touches the toe each step. And that absolutely will train your coordination and control. And it challenges dynamic balance. You can add to this if you want to with an unstable surface. They sell this, they call it a wobble ball or a wobble board. There are all kinds of things, uneven surfaces that you can stand on, or in the grass too, at least to start. That is going to force your nervous system to adapt a little bit more. So it works a little more deeply, improving your proprioception rapidly, especially if you need to work on that. An added bonus, it will help strengthen your ankles and your feet. And feet strength is like a real thing, just like ankle strength and, everything else. And so you can obviously practice this while you're brushing your teeth, as I said I do, but why not try it when you're waiting in line, or, just walk slower and pick up one leg, slowly. You can do it. You can be strong. And if you, control your body in space, even better. So it is really important to remember that balance is trainable. And I want to say balance is so important, not only to stay independent later in life and, moving more confidently and aging well starts right now, wherever you are in life. That's no joke. It starts now. Okay. Well, thanks. Thanks for being with me. I'm going to leave you with how important I think balance is, and how one of the things I love is about how dynamic the body is. And so when we give ourselves small tests now, we can improve from there. It's sort of one of my favorite things about creating a new workout for myself, whether it's I'm going to choose to do something for 100 days, or I'm going to choose something. I like to do these little minor tests and then build from there. And the thing about balance is you can always improve your balance to the next, deeper skill. And why wouldn't you? It's so good for the nervous system. All right. I love you. I appreciate you. Take really good care.